Hearing some scary rumors. But let me ask you a question. What only comes out at night and scrambles when the lights come on? Yep, you got it. Sideshow and takeover participants. You thought I was going to say something else, didn't you? That story is coming up right after the break. I don't know if you know this, but I actually now have a merch store. And if you haven't checked out the video description below my videos, then you're missing out. Currently, I've got a pack full of movie quote t-shirts, and more styles are being added every month, and new items are in development right now. So have a look, see if there's anything you like, and wear it with pride. The link is in the video description below. In the past few weeks, we've seen some serious debauchery being exhibited at street takeovers. Just recently in Los Angeles, the $588 million 6th Street Bridge reconstruction project was completed and the bridge opened. It was a beautiful bridge, fantastic. But rather than celebrations by local residents, the takeover fans decided it was a perfect opportunity to host a sideshow and go out and do what they do so well. Burnouts, donuts, and all the usual douchebaggery and debauchery that comes along with these events. They were there because all the cameras were there covering the opening of it. But my favorite part was this guy, a Dodge Challenger, surprise, decided to try to do a burnout, but like so many owners of these cars, he lacked the skill to pull it off. Driving seems to be like sex. Everybody thinks they're good at it, but a lot of people suck at it. The results were predictable, as you might have thought. The guy crashed into a wall, but what came next had me laughing. Basically, those summed up the prevailing attitude of many street takeover participants. This dude just gets out of his car, doesn't look to see if he injured anyone in the two other cars that he hit, which was pretty amazing. 2 cars and a wall. That's 3. That's pretty good. He jumps out of the car wearing his Antifa starter pack, black hoodie, face mask, and backpack, probably filled with tools for cutting off catalytic converters off of Toyota Priuses. And the dude just walked away. At first, I thought he was going to jump over the edge of the bridge. That problem would have been solved. But basically, there was no personal responsibility, and clearly he was not smart enough to realize that he is personally tied to that car's paperwork in some way or other, either through the registration or a rental agreement or whatever. The cops are going to find him in about 10 minutes. Plus, if he had a cell phone and tries to tell the cops, oh, I wasn't there, they're going to get the records and prove that he was there. But to his credit, though, he turned himself in the next day and the case is now pending. And I think it's going to be very expensive for this guy. As I've said before, these takeovers have become a cancerous blight on the automotive community, a hobby that has been around since hot rods first came on the scene back in the 1950s. That's more than 70 years. And now all it takes is one group of people just ruin it for everybody. And today police agencies have grown sick and tired of the nonsense, and so too have city and state legislatures, and there's some new legislation coming down, and it's going to get ugly quickly. I understand the impetus to do this. I was 19 once as well. I like doing a fat smoky burnout in a deserted industrial park back when there was no big deal, but people don't have any sense of humor for this anything more, and there's cameras everywhere. Street races even back there were also more chill than they are today. Back then, you'd go to the spot, and go out there and run a car a couple of passes with the people that you challenge during the week. You pay up if you lose, and then everybody moves on. And then the next group of people who have a grudge match going on, they do it. Back then, there were no cameras, and no one was dumb enough to be standing next to the street as the cars are flying by it at 90 or 100 miles an hour. And today, it's way more dangerous because some of these cars are trapping at 140 miles per hour, and that makes it even more dangerous. So today, it's very, very different than it was many years ago. People are literally standing in the middle of an intersection while rookie drivers are doing donuts. You know how good this guy is or what talent he has. Sometimes they're doing in opposite directions simultaneously while the white smoke obscures everyone's vision. And then these other guys run into the middle of it and they're trying to get footage and they're getting around the back of the car and they get smacked out of the car. People are hanging out of the car, flying out of the cars. Others are bringing illegal guns to the event, and some people are aiming lasers at police helicopters, which, by the way, is a felony. One guy recently actually got 21 months in prison for doing exactly that. A few years ago, there was one guy who got sentenced to 14 years in prison for doing that. He's still in jail. People are bringing the guns to these things more and more and more, and sometimes they're just firing up in there, the weapons in there. I said, what the hell is going on? Oh, man, it's crazy. Recently, though, a takeover in South LA ended with a shooting that left one person dead. In 2020, a fight among participants in a takeover, which happened in Hollywood, California, it resulted in gunfire that killed an innocent 17-year-old girl, and the whole thing was captured on camera. But those infrequent incidents of shooting, while horrible, don't happen at every takeover, but they're happening more and more, and so are the sideshows and takeovers. It's all growing. And over the years, several celebrities celebrities have tried to join forces with law enforcement. Paul Walker has, Sung Kang has, and others have publicly gone on camera pleading with viewers to drive responsibly and to bring it to the track. Not happening. Paul's death, while tragic, should have been a wake-up call for those who choose to drive recklessly. After all, Roger Rodas was a professional driver and he still crashed. But none of it helped. In fact, it got worse. If Paul were alive today, he'd be begging people to stop these activities, and I'm betting most people would ignore his pleas today. People just don't listen anymore because when we're young, we're not going to die. And nobody wants to see young people die needlessly. And when we're young, we never think about it. And it happens to people who are even better drivers than most of us. You're not the best driver in the world. I remember a fatal crash with an S2000 up in the canyons that happened a few years ago. This kid had done that run something like 1,000 times, had multiple hours of video footage. But at this time, something went wrong and he died. It was seriously tragic. And even at low speeds, people are dying at sideshows. Some are even innocent bystanders, and it's getting the attention of everybody. The negative attention is also ruining the hobby for everybody, but cops and politicians, as I said, are fed up. Law enforcement and city officials throughout the country are now working on bringing back the car crushing programs. I don't know if you've heard about it. I said the last one I saw that done in public was 2009. But the way it works is like this. The cops, somebody gets arrested, the cops present the evidence, which is often easy to find on the suspect's social media pages or the other street race takeover pages, that kind of thing. Plus, there's probably helicopter and night vision videos, and the defendant is found guilty if he didn't already accept a plea deal. And so at that point, it comes down to sentencing. And for those who are convicted of more serious charges pertaining to these events, a judge would have the power to order to the perpetrator's car to be crushed, put into a crusher and flattened. Oh, by the way, it doesn't matter if you're still making payments on the car. You still have to pay the loan back. Even if your car was turned into a can of White Claw seltzer, you're going to pay that loan back. Or if you don't bother making the payments, what happens is the loan company will sue you and put a default on your credit score, which will haunt your credit for the next 7 to 10 years. Now, that's really crappy. Enforcement tactics are changing too. Multiple agencies are already using high-tech ways to find participants of these sideshows even days later. Using drones and helicopters with infrared cameras, they can see everything that's going on down there, right down to your license plate number, your social media stickers on the side of your car. They can see all of that, and all that is brought into evidence. They bring all that footage to a judge, and then a warrant is issued, and then, you go home in a couple days, you don't think anything about it, I got away, yeah. A day or two later, about a dozen cops show up at your house or your parents' house wearing SWAT gear, bulletproof vests. They have rifles, they have handguns, and you wake up to your whole family being held at gunpoint and freaked out and scared to death. All that for doing an intersection takeover. Your car is impounded for at least 30 days at $43 a day, which comes out about to just under $1,300. You get arrested, and if you have the bail money, you might be out on the street in a day or two, or maybe even faster, but you won't have your car. Then you better start looking for an attorney, because they're not cheap, because a conviction comes with a 30-day mandatory sentence. And if you injure somebody, you're looking at 90 days and lots more if someone dies. So an attorney is going to cost you at least $2,500 if you want to fight the case. And if you can't afford an attorney, you can bet that the public defender will do everything he can to help you. He doesn't give two shits about a low-level, low-profile court case like yours. Even if you pled down to lesser charges like reckless driving, and you'll get a fat fine plus community service, which is picking up trash on the side of the freeway for a week or two, that kind of thing, which is not fun. Meanwhile, you're missing work, and that's probably going to have cause a big problem for you. Then the real fun begins when your license is suspended for a period of time, 6 months to a year, and you have a reckless conviction on your record. How are you going to get to your job or to school if you're doing community service? And even if somehow by some miracle you don't lose your license, when you get a notification from your car insurance company, you open that envelope, you're going to find out that your insurance has tripled. Oh, and that conviction stays on your license for 3 years if you were sober. But if you had any alcohol or any drugs in your system, it's on your record for 10 years, which means your car insurance payment might be as much as or more than your actual car payment for a decade. You still think this is fun? And you'll be on probation. If you get another moving violation while you're on probation in the next 3 years, it goes back to the maximum sentence, and your license will be suspended for longer, and there's other repercussions as well. Starting July 1st in 2025 here in California, a court will be permitted to suspend a person's driver's license between 90 days and 6 months if the person is convicted of exhibition of speed if the violation occurred as part of a sideshow. And that's a wide definition, so if you're there, you're probably going to get burnt with that. For those of you who don't know, it's also illegal to be there at a sideshow at all. You can try to use the argument, oh, I just came upon this place and found it, blah, 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 blah. The cops know you're full of crap, and you're going to get a citation. You're going to go into court, and you're also subject to arrest if things get out of hand with you talking back, which I see a lot of people doing that. So it's just like this. Cops have taken a new approach with bystanders. They've developed sprays that can be sprayed onto cars and people, even by drone, to prove that these people are in cars were at a sideshow. If you find if cops come at you and you decide to dip, they just spray some stuff on you and or your car, and they will find you a little later. The spray residue is only visible using presumably the black light or some other light source, so there's no washing it up because you don't know when it comes off, but that's how they're going to catch you. Most of you know this, or perhaps you didn't. It's going to get worse.
Not going to say a word.
There's a group of Democrat legislators, including Governor Newsom, passed a bill in October of 2021 upping the penalties for participants and for spectators, which is probably step 2 of their enforcement efforts. Step 1 was creating traffic enforcement task forces. Traffic enforcement task forces are not out there looking for burglars, rapists. Those crimes are handled by other departments. So when people post, well, why don't you aren't chasing rapists? Because traffic enforcement teams solely focus on traffic tickets. I don't know why this is so hard for some people to understand. So what they do is they work by combining the support of multiple law enforcement agencies when they go after sideshows. And as strict as they've been, and as hard as they try, participants get bolder and more disrespectful, and worst of all, more reckless. It's not everybody. It's a small group. It's very high profile and very visible. There are people there showing up, have no license, or worse, a suspended license, probably from multiple tickets that have been stacked up over the years. Many are new and relatively inexperienced drivers, so think about that if you jump into the middle doing donuts around one another. You don't know who that guy is. And a lot of these guys have no insurance, so if somebody gets hit, you're paying out of your own pocket. Good luck explaining that to your insurance company. I mean, take a look at some of these cars. They're so beat down, you know that they're just driving on minimum coverage. And if an uninsurance driver smashes up to you and you wind up paralyzed, how does your insurance company react? What kind of recourse do you have with the at-fault party? A lot of people don't even have uninsured motorists on their policies. So I don't know how much longer this can go on. At some point, the police will just start just doing multiple agency raids and just start impounding cars in large numbers. And that's when things are going to get ugly. And sentences for any of these infractions at these events are just going to get more and more serious. They're also talking about other enforcement measurements, putting speed bumps in intersections, doing bot stops in the middle of the intersection, but I'm really skeptical that would have any desired effect. Crushing cars, though, would stop some of it, but some criminals might just resort to carjacking. They'll carjack all the front engine rear-wheel drive cars, which is Chargers, Challenge, G35s, and so forth. At some point, manufacturers will get smart and start using fingerprint ignition systems to prevent unauthorized operation of a motor vehicle, which might be able to bypass at some point anyway. But perhaps in the future, the only way to start your car is by using a mobile phone app that requires your fingerprint. Who knows what's going to happen with that? But the next step is going to be electronic systems which are being integrated into cars in Europe already, which basically automatically reduce the car's speed if the car is speeding in any jurisdiction. Right? Using this technology is going to be mandatory in all new cars in Europe in 2024. And you could bet that these automated speed restriction devices called Intelligent Speed Assist will be coming to the United States of America soon. In the meantime, what's going to happen? Police agencies will have some new surprises for offenders, and new legislation will put real teeth into sentencing, and it's going to get ugly. All I can say is that it's a shame that a lot of good cars that were going to be collectible in years to come, might be going to the crushers because of irresponsible use of the vehicle. I'm not trying to preach to anybody. I'm just telling you that there's consequences for all this stuff, and I'm giving you those warnings about it. This is what can happen. So I don't care what you read online. This is the straight dope. So do it at your own peril, but hopefully you're smarter than them. Anyway, stay safe, everybody. Be cool. Thanks for watching.